What's up, y'all? It's your main man, DJ Suave. In today's episode, I'm here in fabulous Las Vegas. Today's episode, I got a special guest. But before I even get into the show, I think I'm gonna go fly my drone.
Hey, check this out. Yo, hey, check this out. Yo. Hey, yo. Hey, yo. Check this out. Yo. Hey, yo.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to On the Stoop with Suave. My name is DJ Suave, and I have a special guest in the house tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, make some noise for Trentino. What's up, man?
What's happening?
How you doing?
Pretty good. Thanks for having me.
Yo, man, thanks for coming through. I know you were doing some rock climbing today.
Yeah, I was out in Red Rock climbing a little bit. That's kind of my main hobby at the moment.
But you do a lot of outdoor stuff.
Yeah, basically after I moved to LA, I got into hiking and backpacking, and then it evolved into climbing and snowboarding. Those are kind of the main two at the moment.
Nice, because you were in Colorado not too long ago doing some snowboarding, right?
I haven't been to Colorado this season. I was there a lot like 2 seasons ago. But I was just in Jackson Hole. I had a show with my buddy DJ Londo up there, and he also took me all over the resort. He's like an incredible skier, grew up there. We did day in the backcountry, so yeah, it's really good.
People be sleeping on Wyoming, though.
Yeah, that was my first time there, actually. Yeah, it's like one of the wealthiest counties in the country.
Damn.
A lot of people are buying houses there. There's no income tax in Wyoming, so
that's right.
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah, it's a pretty cool place. If you're into winter sports, like I don't think there's a better place in the country.
And you said you DJ there?
Yeah,
How long you been DJing?
professionally 10 or so years, but overall, almost 20.
How'd you get started?
Well, I got into music with drums first. School band program, private lessons, all that. And then pretty soon after got some turntables. I also started producing right around that same time. So I've kind of been doing all three for a really long time.
Nice. What keeps you DJing, though?
Well, obviously now it's a job. But no, I mean, it's always interesting. Every night is different. Every venue is unique. Every crowd is unique. So yeah, it's always interesting.
So you said you've been doing it for about 20 years or so, and I'm trying to think, who was hot back then that really got guys DJing? Like, I mean, there's so many classic guys, but who did it for you?
I mean, a lot of people don't remember, or I don't know, but there used to be live DJs on TV every day on MTV and BET. So that was really like my first exposure to DJing, was guys like Funk Flex on MTV or Big Tigger on Rap City.
Right. That's right. They did have the live DJs on the bass.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, that was something I saw every day because I was into hip hop, and I was watching those guys all the time. So that's sort of what got everything going.
Yeah. I forgot about Big Tigger in the Basements.
Yeah, and then Scribble on MTV as well,
Right.
and yeah.
So you've been DJing for let's just say 20 years, and how long you been doing remixes and stuff? Because I see you in all the major DJ record pools with your remixes.
Yeah, I started producing right around the same time, but as far as dance music, I really got heavily into it probably about 9-10 years ago. Really started producing and releasing my own stuff maybe 8 years ago.
Do you have a favorite track of your own?
Hard
one, right?
I don't know about a favorite. I don't know. I think recently, like the ASAP Ferg Plain Jane remix.
Okay.
Like, I'm pretty proud of how that came out.
Ride with the mob, hamdulillah. Check you and me and do your job. Ferg is the name, then Baller did the chain. 20 for the watch, Prezi Plain Jane. Ride with the mob, hamdulillah. Check you and me and do your job. Ferg is the name, then Baller did the chain. 20 for the watch, Prezi Plain Jane. Yeah.
Nice. Got a lot of. I saw a lot of collabos on the YouTube here. What's your favorite collabo?
Probably Tommy Sunshine, the legend.
Hey, check this out. Yo, hey, check this out. Yo. Hey, yo. Hey, yo. Check this out. Yo. Hey, yo. Hey, yo. Check this out. Yo.
We're gonna play a game. I don't know why I just like that sound. All right, we're gonna play a game. All right, we'll just call it rapid fire. All right, I'm gonna ask you a bunch of questions. You just give me the first answer that comes to mind. All right, you ready?
Ready.
All right. Your favorite DJ?
Clever.
Turntables or CDJs?
CDJ is in the club.
When people say, "I thought you were taller," your response?
Come
on, man, quick, rapid fire.
I don't know. The camera adds a foot.
All right. Beach or mountains?
Mountains, of course.
Chicago or Vegas?
Vegas, of course.
Best female pop singer of all time?
I'll just say Tovlo.
All right. Michael Jackson or Prince?
Michael Jackson.
First celebrity crush?
Aaliyah.
If your DJ name wasn't Trentino, what would you call yourself?
Maybe just my real name.
Okay.
Trenton Joshua.
Gotcha.
Middle name.
One person who reps Chicago hard, but you wish wouldn't?
R. Kelly.
Have you seen the Blue Man Group live?
Yes.
When I'm not DJing, I'm...
Climbing.
My next vacation is to...
Bishop.
Where's that?
Maybe. California.
Okay. What DAW do you use?
Ableton Live.
Your dream residency?
Output in Brooklyn.
Okay. Who's your hero?
I don't know. Anybody that's doing what they love all the time.
Favorite drinking game?
I don't really drink that much, so...
Would you date a girl with 6 toes on 1 foot?
Sure.
All right. That's it.
All right.
All right. What I want to do next, man, is your Redbull Threesyle video. It's no secret to anybody that knows me. It's really my favorite. I think it's just... I've seen tons over the years, but this one is definitely my favorite. What I like to do is I like to deconstruct it. Have you ever done this before? Deconstruct your video?
No.
Nice. That's the first time. So what we're going to do, I'm going to play the video and we're going to watch it. And I'm going to ask some questions as we kind of go through the video. And we're going to deconstruct this. Now let's start with, what year is this?
2013.
Okay. And where's this? Where are these finals at?
This was in Toronto at Cool House.
Okay. And who's the guy hosting?
Flip Out.
Okay. All right. So let's start the video.
You're not the first person to say that.
Man.
This is Trentino repping the United States of
There he
America.
is.
Thank you.
There we go.
How long do you have to work at something before you become really good, right? And the answer seems to be, it's an extraordinarily consistent answer in an incredible number of fields, and that is, you need to have practice to have apprenticed.
Now, who's this talking?
10,000 hours before you get good.
That's Malcolm Gladwell.
Okay.
Not the originator of that idea, but he wrote a lot. He wrote about it a lot.
Gotcha. So what was your theme going into this? Because I noticed the beginning kind of starts with rock and roll.
Yeah, that was basically the idea. I mean, basically all of this probably, all of these ideas sort of start with 2 tracks that go together in some way, and then I try to build in both directions from that. What can go after it, what can go before, or if it can go in the opposite order. Obviously, this is just a great track.
Yeah.
Kill the noise.
And who's this kid? Is this from a song? I mean, this little kid riding a bike? Where's this from?
Oh, I don't know. This is in the track.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Yeah.
We the rock stars. We the real rock stars, and I'm the biggest of all of them.
Is it distracting when they're walking around like that?
Nah, I'm pretty focused at this point.
Do you perform this still?
No, not really. I've tried this in clubs and it doesn't really go over very well.
Now, was the Stars and Stripes on intentional?
Oh yeah, I mean it's the World Finals.
Right.
I'm representing the U.S.
How many hours did you put in to practice in this?
For the World Finals specifically, we had to have 2 sets,
Right.
prelims and this, which is the final. I started about 6 weeks out, and that's basically all I did for those 6 weeks. But I also reused a few things from the previous competitions. So spent probably about 6 months in total, basically only doing Threesyle that year.
Yeah. And what did you place in this?
In this final, I did not place.
Really? Get the out of here. Oh, I cussed this now. Damn.
Yeah, I mean, all the sets are up there if you guys want to,
Nah, man.
come to your own
I like
conclusion.
this one. Shit. I mean, no disrespect to the other guys, but
this was back when you could play dance music in a mainstream context. It was a fun time.
gotcha. And all during this, did you make any mistakes?
That wasn't as clean as it could have been, but there's no like big mistakes here.
So there was nothing that made you say, "Oh shit."
Nah, that was about as clean as I ever did it. So this is like a unison scratch with the bass line, which is Porter Robinson. Say my name. Little pause for crowd.
I can dig it. I can dig it.
This is the cool thing about the dicers. You can pick them up, show people what's going on. And then other hand on the turntable doing the pitch bend.
See, and I'm glad you said that because I never caught the hand on the table with the pitch bend.
Yeah.
I guess I was busy looking at this hand though. And I'm guessing this takes us back to your drumming roots.
Yeah, the drumming definitely helps with this sort of thing.
He did a lot of that. Just awkward. That was just awkward. Like even in the one before this, he just like.
So then this is the same track but different cue points, which you just make a copy of the track.
Right.
And then you have you can have 10 cue points basically. There were only 5 back then. And first tone play, I think. Those are all nice because they're all horns and they're the same notes.
I did notice that this was Kanye heavy.
Yeah, that interview provided a lot of my dialogue material for a lot of these sets. The BBC.
Oh boy.
I think there's one part where he tries to start singing and you switch it and it's like,
Yeah.
bruh.
Yo.
He was hella excited there. Yo.
Yeah, that's just the original sample.
Nice. Now, how did you come up with this?
I mean, that's what it sounds like.
Like you were just sitting down
You
one day
said-
like, oh, that sounds like the Addams Family.
Yeah, you set a lot of the time you just set the cue points. I put them in order of pitch,
Right.
like a low to high, left to right, and then you just start playing and see what you can come up with.
Nice.
You shake my nerves and you rattle my brain. Too much love drives a man insane.
All in all, how many different genres do you think you played in this set?
Oh, I don't know. It depends how deep you want to get.
Writing about outliers, people who
Even just the first few tracks, it's
achieved
like
extraordinary things
electro,
and have been able to
dubstep,
accomplish it. And you said
house.
It makes a difference where and when you grow
And
up.
who's
It's not
this?
enough to ask what successful people are like.
That's,
In other words,
I think, Anderson Cooper interviewing
where they are
Malcolm
from, we can
Gladwell
unravel
from the same
why
interview
who
from
succeeds
before.
Okay.
and who doesn't.
And this track I just found on YouTube, and I couldn't find it for sale anywhere, so I just ripped it.
Nice.
And then the dude found me later on.
Did he give you props or did he get mad?
I don't know. He was excited about it.
All of the massive. What you got, Trentino?
This is probably the one that I picked up on as soon as you started it. How was the crowd reaction?
You can see a little bit of them in the front there.
Yeah.
I think it was good, but I'm pretty focused throughout the whole set because there's a lot going on.
And this is before Drake's heyday?
No, Drake.
Yeah.
No, he was doing it for sure.
Well, because I know it's like a lot of guys like went to Philly. Everybody tried to drop
everyone's
a
trying
couple
to-
of Philly tracks in there.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess I wasn't really thinking like that. Like none of these tracks really stand on their own. They're all there because of what they came out of or what they're going into.
Gotcha.
It's a little juggle. This is probably the most technical part of the set.
With the eyes closed, looking up so they can see.
Take a look at the screen.
Yeah, you don't really have to look for those type of juggles. So it's cool to do something like that. Just heard the turntable screw up a little bit there. Wordplay.
Is there anything about this set, as you've listened to it over the years, that you said, man, I should have done this instead of this?
I don't think so. I don't think I thought about it that much afterward.
Yeah.
I mean, once it was done, it was done. But there's a lot going on. There's a lot of little things. Everything's connected in some way. I don't think people got this either. I was using the words
from one
song
to the other, yeah.
They both had the same words. I was replacing them. And that's the original track.
Right.
Same kind of chords.
Right. Here it comes with the pointing, yep. But like, what was the point of that? Like,
Stunting on you hoes.
Yeah, he got a little close there.
Trentino, USA.
that was dope.
I see what you did there.
Yeah, we all did. I think this is really my favorite part here. So this is kind of like we'll call this a piano melody-ish section, if you will.
Yeah, those are the piano notes from I'm Different, which I also used in the prelim, but in a totally different way.
Yeah, because I was wondering, like, in the prelim, you used the piano man, the girl playing the piano in the dark or whatever.
Yeah, and part of the thing with this is that was sort of the part of my US final that everyone commented on and everyone remembered. So it was like, okay, now I'm the piano man because that was a big thing.
Here's the best part.
What's that on that beat? I'm different, yeah, I'm different. I'm different, yeah, I'm different. I'm different, yeah, I'm different. Middle finger up to my competition.
Hey!
I like it.
And that's what it's like to be a celebrity.
All right.
Yeah.
So you did that set, you didn't place, which is very disappointing. I didn't do my research to find that out. So now that was what year?
2013.
Did we do anything in 2014?
There was no Threesyle in the U.S. 2014.
Okay. And
then by 2015 they sort of downsized significantly in the U.S. at least.
What are your thoughts on DJ battling, particularly this particular format?
I mean, I think overall it's been really successful. It's gotten a lot of people paying attention to DJ battles that never would have paid attention to them before. You can't really tell, but that crowd was huge at the World Finals there. It was I don't know, somewhere I think over 5,000 for sure.
Wow.
Maybe even closer to 10. It's a big room. I mean, you can see like the acts that come through there. They do really big shows there.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's something you don't see at any other DJ battle. So I think at least for that, it's amazing. And the format provides a platform for people that may not do as well in other DJ battles. I mean, I don't feel like I would, get that far in a DMC, for example.
Right.
I don't have the pure, insane, speed and technical ability that those guys have. But I have enough to do something like this and do something that's a little more about the thought and creativity behind it. So,
would you do it again?
I mean, if I hadn't done it, yes, but having gotten as far as I did, I never felt like there was a reason to do it again.
What did it do for your career?
I mean, it was huge for sure. It got me, the biggest thing is it got me out of Chicago. I had done a little bit, around the Midwest and stuff, but it really got me traveling like consistently, nationally and quite a bit internationally after a couple of years, especially because this was the first time any of the competitors had full professional video of their sets. So this video spread it, way further than it would have otherwise.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, that's why there's no footage of like the U.S. finals or any of the ones I was in before.
See, and I thought that they didn't post like the U.S. stuff because they didn't want, the competitor seeing, but I didn't even think about that. They didn't have it before then.
They actually posted the audio for all of them like right afterward, which is a lot different from how they do like DMC. Like they're on lockdown because everyone's kind of expected to repeat their routines, at least to some extent.
Right.
So they keep it, you're not allowed to film and like nobody's allowed to post anything. Threesyle's, for whatever reason, is like the opposite. Like everyone's sets went up immediately. So, but it's fair, I guess. It happened to all of us.
All right. I'm gonna leave that. I'm gonna leave it out there. Let's play a new game. I like that sound. All right, let's play 2 truths and a lie. Give us 2 truths and a lie. I'll try to figure out which one's a lie.
Okay. My parents are from South Africa. I've been skateboarding longer than I've been doing music. And been skiing for 5 years.
All right. Skiing for 5 years. That sounds like a truth. Skateboarding. You look like a skater, dude. So I get it. So I'm going to say skiing and skateboarding are the 2 truths. And I'm going to say that your parents being African is a lie.
Wrong.
Your parents African?
Yeah, my parents are from Johannesburg, South Africa.
Oh, so that makes you African?
I guess, in a way. African American.
Nice.
White African American.
Nice. So which one's the lie?
Skiing. I've never been skiing.
Oh,
but I do snowboard.
See, I didn't even think about that. I went snowboarding once. I was in Korea and almost broke my collarbone. It's like, nah, I'm cool. I'm gonna leave that alone.
Yeah, snowboarding is definitely dangerous. Like, obviously I climb and I snowboard. People always think climbing is way more dangerous, but climbing is way safer. I mean, especially the kind of climbing that I do. It's like sport climbing. It's relatively safe. Snowboarding gets pretty gnarly. I mean, you're not you're not on a rope to catch you if you fall. Like you're going down. Probably fall a lot less, of course, but the danger's there. And I mean, the rate of speed that you get going can be quite dangerous.
Man, dude, I used to work at an airline, and we used to see people coming in with their ski bags and stuff, and they'd be in a cast or on crutches, and be like, "Yep, victim of the slopes. Slopes got you."
Yeah.
Yo, so I'm kind of a younger DJ. I've seen some crazy things in the booth, but I always like to sit down and chop it up with some guys that have been doing it longer than me and find out what's the craziest thing that you've seen from the booth into the crowd.
Like scene going on in the crowd.
Yeah. Don't mention the club. We don't want to shit on nobody. But I'm curious, man. What's the craziest thing that you've seen?
Probably girls like puking on themselves and coming out of their outfits.
Oh, just throwing open a shirt and just getting naked right there in the club.
No, like not even connected. Just like they're coming out of their outfit and then they're puking on the floor like 2 minutes later.
That's a good time, I guess. You know, I mean, when you're that drunk that you're puking on yourself in the club. What's the craziest thing you've seen in the booth, though? It's a different story in the booth than, outside the booth.
The thing is, I keep my booth pretty secure.
Yeah.
So, and I'm pretty focused when I'm DJing. So, yeah, I don't know. That's sort of a hard one. I mean, yeah.
Yo, have you ever seen these dudes? And I'm gonna be a hater for a minute. Ever seen these dudes and they're posting pictures on social media and they're in a booth DJing and it's a sausage fest behind them. And I'm like, dude, that's not cool, bro. Like, come on, man. Like, I got a thing, man. I don't like dudes in the booth when I'm spinning. That's like my biggest pet peeve. I don't like groupies in the booth when I'm DJing. Like the chicks that want to come up and just take a picture and don't even say hi. Like,
yeah,
nah, bitch, get out.
Oh yeah, that's the word. There's a lot of that out here. But yeah, I don't like anyone too close to me in general while I'm DJing. If I know you, that's okay. But even then, I mean, I need some elbow room.
Right.
I'm not a very big dude, obviously. So like, if I'm scratching on one deck, that other deck is pretty exposed, and like, there's lots of times where people get in between me and the other deck, and like, yeah, it's a bad situation.
Yo, I think I saw on a flyer last summer you and Shaq did the same venue.
Yeah, that was at Rehab Vegas last summer.
Same night?
In the daytime, but yeah.
Tell me you got a picture standing next to Shaq.
I did not.
I'd pay money.
It was way too hectic. There were, like we were just talking about, there were like 150 people on stage.
I next time you get a chance, I'd love to see that picture. Just obviously in the height difference. But
I know it would have been really good.
Yeah, you've been doing a lot of traveling, I noticed too.
Yeah, obviously, like the 2 or 3 years after Threesyle were like really crazy.
Yeah.
And then the international stuff kind of started a little bit later. I'm not traveling quite as much these days, but that is still kind of, I guess, my bread and butter.
Yeah.
I don't have anything consistent in Vegas at the moment, so, and that's kind of always been my thing. I mean, the traveling stuff obviously pays way more, usually get treated better,
right,
etc.
So you don't have anything consistent in Vegas, but you have spun at some of these major nightclubs down here.
Yeah, well, I was a resident at Rehab all last summer.
Right.
But Rehab's done. Basically, Virgin bought the Hard Rock. They're turning it into a Virgin casino.
Oh.
I don't know the timeline on any of that, but it hasn't happened yet, but that's what's supposedly happening.
And so, if my memory serves me right, you're not represented. You don't have an agent.
Right, it's just me. I had an agent for a couple years, like after Threesyle, but it was a disaster. So,
pros and cons of having an agent versus not having an agent.
For me, it was mostly cons. I mean, if you have somebody that's really putting in work for you, like that's great. I mean, at the end of the day, you're paying for the agent. They always like to sell you on, oh, we're going to get you more money and it'll make it worthwhile. Like we'll get enough money to cover our fee. That's not really how it works. No club is paying you more because you're on an agency. And honestly, for most agencies, like or clubs, it's easier to just book somebody directly than it is to deal with an agency.
Right.
I had one that was quite good at handling stuff, but they didn't get enough work to make it worthwhile. So it doesn't, I have no problem handling my own stuff. It's like you're giving somebody 20% sometimes of a gig, and they're spending maybe 5 minutes to book it. I mean, they're putting a name and address on a contract, and they're accepting the deposit, and then of course you don't get that deposit till months later or whatever.
Right.
So it's like, it's kind of a racket as far as I'm concerned.
So you had an agency, didn't work out. What if another agency came up and says, "Hey, we know you're not represented. We like to represent you"?
Well, I mean, I've been approached, and I tell them all the same thing, which is, if you can get me enough work to make up for the fees that I'm paying you, of course I'll do that.
Right.
If I'm going to make at least the same amount of money and have more work and whatever, of course. But as soon as you say that to any agency, they know they can't deliver. So that's kind of the end of the conversation.
Makes sense. I heard a rumor. How about this? Let me say I heard a rumor that you are very vocal about the evolution of DJing, or the lack of DJs wanting to evolve, the purist wanting to be pure.
I guess I get put in this purist category just because of the battle stuff, but that's not really where I come from. To me, they're all just tools, and I want to use the most reliable, best tools for the job for what I'm doing, which at the moment is DJing in clubs. Mm-hmm. I haven't bought a record since I got Serato, because I was buying records so I could, sample them and scratch and DJ with them. And once that was no longer needed, I stopped, because they're just tools to me. I don't really have a special connection. I don't really like collecting things either in general. I notice it sort of makes sense. A lot of DJs are collectors because you have to collect, or you used to have to collect records, and that might spill over into, the stereotype sneakers and all that. But that was never really me. I kind of especially these days, I'm more of a minimalist.
I can dig it. And I got a guy that posted something on Facebook or whatever that he had 25,000 songs in his crate. And I looked at that and I was like, for what? You're not playing that many songs.
That's insane. I think, first of all, every nightclub DJ's library is too big, including mine.
Yeah.
However small it is, it's too big. I think if you actually broke down, if Serato had play count and you could actually see what you're playing, you'd realize you're only using a few hundred songs. And then maybe you have the odd gig where you go outside of that, but you don't need a lot of music. I have about 2,500 on my flash drive right now, and that's what I use for everything. And I have everything on there. It's not about I only have a certain kind of music. I have hip hop, all eras. I have my wedding crates. I have my bar mitzvah stuff from back in the day. I'm ready for whatever. 2,500 songs is a lot if you think about it.
Yeah. I had I want to say September, October, I started going through, and I use Rekordbox DJ. And I went through and I cleaned up my entire library. I mean, my grids are on point, my cue points, everything. Shit's perfect. And I went from 2,200 songs to 12.
1,200.
1,200. That's it.
Yeah, that's great.
So now, if it's not a banger, I'm not downloading it. Or I see these guys that have 6 different versions of one song. I'm like,
right, that's dude. A lot of it. A lot of people think they have all this music, and all they have are duplicates and multiples and 8 remixes of the same song. You need one remix, maybe. I mean, these days you can't even play remixes out, so I don't even bother.
Well, and then you're playing the same. I mean, even if you have a remix, you're going to find that one that's your favorite, and you're going to play it all the time.
Of course,
So why have 10 of them for no reason,
Yeah, you gotta discriminate a little bit. I mean, it makes it so much more efficient when you're actually playing out to not have to see all this stuff.
Yeah.
You only see what you need, and it, you know, I feel like I DJ so much better with a smaller library.
Yeah, it's quicker to get to stuff. So you've been DJing 20 years. If you wasn't a DJ, what would you be?
I guess the next thing in line would be a producer. That's still sort of DJ related, I guess, but you know, if I had to guess, I've probably spent more time producing music than I have practicing DJing.
Really?
I would guess that, yeah. I mean, I spent a lot of time over the last, 7-8 years producing dance music, which is not an easy thing to do.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I've spent a lot of time on that. And then, the next thing is obviously a drummer. Spent a lot of time doing that as well. I went to college for music. I don't think we covered that, but I went to college, jazz studies, drum set. So
nice.
Fairly proficient in that as well.
Who's your favorite drummer?
Right now, Matt Garstka. He plays for Animals as Leaders.
Okay. Nice.
He's still pretty young. He's still in his 20s, but he's already, I think, one of the technically one of the greatest drummers of all time. He's insane. Like, I can't wait to see what he's going to be doing in 10 years.
That's what's up. And you said you went to college for music.
Yeah.
Like, music is like legit with you. Like, educated and the whole nine.
Yeah. I mean, so I was in the band program doing drums and percussion and then, also private lessons all through junior high school. And then, when it came time to figure out what I wanted to do for college, I was sort of, expected to go to college for something. That was the only thing that I could think of was, well, I'm going to go for music because I want to do music. And I almost went for like engineering, but I decided I didn't really want to be an engineer for other artists. I wanted to perform and make my own music, so I ended up going for jazz studies.
Now, are your parents musicians?
No, not at all.
What do they think about you being a DJ?
They're fine, as long as I'm surviving, they're happy.
Yeah. All right, so having the experience that you have, what would you tell a young, I'm going to break this into two different questions. So what would you tell a young DJ? And then I'm going to ask you, what would you tell a young producer? So a young DJ, first year in, got him a MacBook, got some Ableton, some headphones, some monitors. He's ready. What advice would you give him?
I mean, at this point, the only thing most of us can really worry about is how to get booked. And at this point, that has a lot to do with your image, your marketing, social media, obviously. So, yeah, I mean, I hate to say it, but, like, you got to have that stuff together. People always, want to talk bad about DJs being on Instagram or whatever, but, like, it's kind of pretty important at this point. So, yeah, I mean, get it all together. I mean, learn how to DJ and get your skills together as well. But, like, without that, you need everything at this point.
And actually, let me correct myself. I said Mac and all that stuff, but that was producer stuff, so I apologize. I should say controller or something. But would you say that it's part of being a DJ is not necessarily what you know, but who you know?
That's, yeah, obviously that's a huge part of it. Most DJs are getting booked through some sort of direct connection, through a direct referral or just knowing somebody at the club.
So then let me ask you this. Let's use Club X, wherever Club X might be. And I know the DJ there, Club X. And obviously I'm nowhere near as skilled as you are. Okay, but you send your EPK to these guys. I send my EPK to these guys just on a formality. And I get booked. And you see that I'm booked. And you're like, this guy can't hold my jockstrap. How frustrating is that for, a seasoned DJ that you see these guys that suck? And suck is a bad word, but just aren't as talented, let's say that, versus the skilled professional, all because of who they know, not necessarily their skill set.
I mean, it's just part of the game at this point. I mean, a lot of times people could have any reason to book or not book somebody. They might not like your face. You know, it could be literally anything. I mean, for me, I know that in some cases, people might see a video like the Threesyle thing and they go, well, we don't want all that. We don't want all that in the club. And they're right most of the time. Like,
Right.
And, you know, because when I show up, it's not that. I always do technical stuff in my sets, but playing a 2 or 3 or 4 hour club set is completely different from a 15-minute competition set. So it's sometimes it can be hard to use something like that to market to a club because they're not going to get it. It's not really such a direct connection.
Yeah.
So I don't know, you know, it could be any number of reasons why you might get booked or not booked.
So, speaking of the technical aspect of it, I've been to venues, I've heard a DJ spin, and all I could think to myself is, if this fucking guy doesn't stop scratching, I'm going to throw my drink at him in the nightclub. And I want to be like, okay, maybe he was booked for that. But as a scratching DJ or a DJ that scratches, how much should be done in the club per se? And are guys just completely that do scratch oblivious to the crowd and realizing that they're scratching or they're over scratching, I should say, is fucking up the whole dance floor and the whole vibe?
I mean, some people probably are. Obviously, when you're scratching, it's hard to pay attention to much else. I mean, you got to be pretty focused on what you're doing. But yeah, it's hard, and it of course it varies vastly. I mean, I think one of the biggest factors is, can the crowd see the equipment? In most clubs, they can't.
Right.
So turntablism is, in my view, is really a visual thing. It's music, but it's music with the visual of what's going on. Okay. So without the visual, like if you're just listening to a mixtape and you're listening to somebody do some complex beat juggle, I mean, there's no way of even understanding, even for another DJ to understand what's going on.
Right.
It's a visual thing. So if the crowd can see you and, you know, it's a venue that's set up to direct everyone's attention towards you, then yeah, like you do some stuff. Like this show I did in Jackson Hole was at like just a music venue. It was just a table on the stage. I was lit up and like people were facing me and paying attention. So I could do a lot more than I would do at, you know, a bottle service club.
Right. Okay.
So yeah, there's no answer. It's
Gotcha. All right. So part 2, any advice you would give to young producers?
So like producers that want to be EDM artists or producers that just want to produce for other people, or
let's do both. So let's start with one. All right. I'm a young producer. I want to be an EDM artist. What would you tell me?
I mean, it's sort of cliche, but having your own sound is kind of the only way to get anywhere these days. There's just too many people making music, and it's becoming easier all the time to just be able to copy what other people are doing.
Yeah.
I mean, as soon as there's a big record, there's a sample pack out like the next week that's pretty spot on.
Yeah.
So you can, you really have to like, you know, do some sort of sound design or some sort of format or tempo or anything that's not being done, and hope that one day becomes popular, because there's still no guarantee. I mean, everyone's not going to become an EDM superstar.
Right.
There just isn't that much room. You know, the festivals have had the same headliners more or less for like 7 or 8 years. It's the same dudes. It's not changing.
Yeah.
Like Marshmello's the only new headliner pretty much.
Yeah.
Right? So,
you know, and what's interesting about that is I was really into EDM big a few years ago. Actually, when I started learning how to DJ, I learned on EDM. And, you know, there's these different sounds. But I think for me, the most distinct sound that's come out of an EDM producer is Kygo sound. Like when you hear that, it's like, bro, that's a Kygo track.
Sure.
You know?
Yeah.
And so I totally get what you're saying, you know, as far as have your own sound. Like, it doesn't matter what Kygo song it is, I know that's him.
Right.
So
and yeah, I don't know in that case specifically, but a lot of these guys, they were already doing that for a long time before. A lot of these guys were maybe making that kind of music for 10 years, and then it became popular.
Right.
But you can't plan that out. It can't be, because nobody knows what the next sound is. Like, you just kind of have to try and,
So when they say the EDM bubble has bursted, do you feel that it has?
In a way, it's definitely not in the mainstream like it was several years ago. There was a time for probably 2 or 3 years where I didn't play hip hop because most places wanted dance music. It was like they finally found something that was acceptable to the masses and wasn't gonna, scare people.
Right.
It wasn't perceived as being dangerous or whatever. So that's what they wanted, and that's what you could get away with that. You could get away with 128 all night for like most places I was playing. I mean, when I was still a local DJ in Chicago, I was on the radio. It was strictly house music. Never played a hip hop set on the radio. My last residency before Threesyle was strictly house music. It was actually a club that had 3 different rooms. They had a hip hop room, which I never played, and they had the main room, which was dance music, and that's where I played.
Gotcha.
So now, fast forward a few years, it's pretty much like 80-90% hip hop at almost all my gigs, and that's just the way that everything's gone. Even when you go to if you go to see like a big EDM producer in Vegas, even they're not really playing dance music the whole time.
Yeah.
You'll hear a lot of top 40 remixes. You'll hear a lot of hip hop. I mean, I saw like Chucky playing just straight hip hop, non-remixed at all, like just playing hip hop. It's like it sort of the whole pendulum is swung. So now, if you're an EDM, now you can get away with playing like everything. And if you're just a nightclub DJ, you're basically playing hip hop.
So I like to call myself an open format DJ. And I heard something, one of these little talk shows, that open format DJs are in high demand because now there is such a vast variety of music being played. But I'm like, even when they're, the height of EDM or the height of hip hop, open format DJs still should be in high demand because we can play everything versus, if you're and I guess my thought process is simply this: if you're an EDM DJ and that's your genre and the EDM bubble busts, your work should decrease significantly. Whereas if you're an open format DJ during the EDM bubble, you had, let's say steady gigs, and then, the EDM bubble busted. I'm still steady gigs because I'm playing other genres as well.
Theoretically, yeah. It's hard to compare the two. I mean, if you're an EDM artist, you're a recording artist.
True.
So you're getting booked. It's more like sort of a performance than it is like DJing. Not saying they're not DJing, but that's what it is. Like, nobody cares about those guys because of how they DJ. It's because of the music that they made or supposedly made. So, I mean, yeah.
Tell us about that, because you did the air quotes on supposedly made. I mean, we got ghost DJs ghost producing going on here.
Yeah, all of that happens. I mean, everyone knows about it, and just becomes so like accepted. I mean, people get outed all the time, and the audience has kind of just shown that they don't really care. So I don't know what to do about that, but it's like that's the only reason that you would care to see most of these EDM acts is because like you like the music that they made and they supposedly made it, and you're going to like hear that music with a bunch of other people that are also into it. But if they didn't make it and they're, often not DJing or not good at DJing, it's like, what's the point? Like, you're just a model at that point.
Well, I mean, if I'm a ghost producer and I give something to, a big time producer DJ and it blows up, wouldn't I want everybody to know, hey, I did that track?
Yeah, I would think so.
But we're not hearing about
They're
that.
just getting paid off,
Damn shame.
And I can sort of see for ghost producers like I can sort of see the appeal. I could never do it. It's funny because I've been asked both. Like I've been offered ghost production and I've been asked to ghost produce. It's like, well, which one is it? Like, am I? Do I not know how to produce or do I know how to produce? I don't know what it is anymore. But you know, I get the appeal. Like you can make some money and you know, if you're making music anyway because that's what you love to do and you can get paid from it and you're not particularly, a lot of these guys are just not that interested in DJing or touring or any of that, so it sort of makes sense for them, but it's still, I mean, at its core it is dishonest. I mean, it's deception. There's no other way to put it.
Because these guys, are they getting producer credits or anything in the credits or anything? Or
some do occasionally.
Because you would think,
but usually if it's ghost produced, then they're not in there. I mean, that's the whole thing.
Yeah.
But sometimes you can look it up and figure out who made what. Like you can see, like for example, like Chami made a bunch of the early DJ Snake stuff, and like he's in the credits if you look. And obviously you got to figure out what their real name is. And but yeah, you can find these things. But yeah, I mean, there's definitely ghost production where they're not credited at all because they're credited. I mean, the whole point is to make it look like this guy made it, you know? And every time this comes up, people try to tell me, well, how's that different from pop music? It's like, well, pop music, the artist is a vocalist.
Right.
They're singing. And the producers are credited. Like, that's how it works. There's no like deception going on there. It's not, you're not lying to everybody.
So then let's talk about deception in the DJ booth. At these large festivals, do you think these guys are playing a live set or do you think they're playing something pre-recorded?
There's both. Some of these guys are, some aren't. I would sort of argue that maybe it doesn't matter that much at a giant festival because that's not really what it's about.
Right.
If you want to go see DJing, you can't see the DJ at a giant festival anyway. There's 50,000 people. You're like half a mile away from the DJ. You're not going to see like, you know, they're 2 clicks. That's not what that is. It's about the whole presentation. It's about the production, the lighting, the video, all that. So it's like, does it really make that much of a difference whether they're DJing live or not? To me, it probably doesn't matter that much.
Well, because I read a thing that said like a lot of these guys are using pre-recorded mixes because you've got 50,000 people in front of you. You know, do you want to really train wreck in front of that many people? And then they're like, oh, this guy's trash, you know, versus having that clean, already put together set and just faking the funk, you know?
Yeah. I mean, it also helps with putting together the rest of the production of the show.
Right.
If it's preset, then you can program all the lighting and video to the whole set and everything's going to be perfect. So maybe that's, you know, that could be just as good because that's what that's what it's about. I mean, an EDM festival is nothing without lighting, sound, and video.
True.
That's what it's about. It's not about DJing. So,
because we have little festivals in Denver, and I've done some of the side stages, and I swear I tell these kids the only difference between that main stage and our stage was our lighting.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, all right. So now, advice for producers who just want to produce, don't want to be EDM superstar artists, just want to be producers. What advice do you have for those guys?
I think at this point, like if you want to be a pop producer, you have to be making complete records. Nobody's really taking stuff that isn't mixed, mastered, written, recorded well. They want a finished product that they don't have to do much with.
Right.
You know, there was a time when, you know, people were producing like on an MPC. Nobody really had the facility to mix and master stuff properly or record vocals or all that stuff. So like it was sort of acceptable. Like here's a rough thing, but like you can hear like what it'll be when it's a finished product. But at this point, it's like everyone has the tools to do anything. So you have to be turning in finished records. And that, you know, and there's tons of stories of like reference vocals just being left on the record because they're so good. I mean, so that's what they want. That's what they want to hear now.
How many times in your social media inboxes does some aspiring somebody send you a track?
Like other like EDM producers?
Yeah,
or,
anybody. So hey, check out my song. Tell me what you think. How often does that happen to you?
Pretty regularly.
How often do you actually respond to those?
Not as much as I wish I did. I would say.
No, and when you respond, do you give them real feedback, or do you just try to? I don't want to hurt your feelings because I know this is your craft, but this could use some work, or or do you just like, yo, man, this is trash. Start over. Like,
yeah, I do. I think if it's a technical issue that I can identify readily, then that to me is, something that they should be aware of.
Yeah.
A lot of times things are just taste, just an artistic choice or whatever, and then I don't know if it's really like my place to say.
Right.
It could just be like, well, I'm not that into this, but a lot of popular music that I'm not into, so
yeah. Makes sense.
But yeah, I mean, I'm obviously I'm super into all the technical aspects of music, so if I can help out with that stuff, like I'm definitely into that, and it makes you better as a producer and an engineer as well.
Yeah.
To like critique other people's music and find issues, and that can help you find issues in your own stuff.
I can dig it. All right, that's the advice that Trentino has for young guys trying to come up. Where can people find you at on social media?
Instagram's the main one for everyone these days. It's Trentino Music. Also Facebook, it's Trentino.
And if somebody wants to book you, how can they reach out?
Yeah, the email is booktrentino@gmail.com, and that goes directly to me. Nobody else looks at it. So yeah, I'm easy to get a hold of. I'm easy to find. You can just talk to me. So
nice, ladies and gentlemen, there you have it, Trentino. All right, y'all, that's it for this episode. You guys got to see me fly my drone at 7 Magic Mountain and sit down and have a good conversation with DJ Trentino. Shout out to Trentino for coming through and showing love. Well, that's it for this episode. If you like it, hit the like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. Go out there and live your best life. My name is DJ Suave, and I'm out. Peace. Living my best life. Ain't going back and forth with you. Living my best life. That shoulder works. I want to do it right now,